Hello everyone, happy Friday! Today we're going to be talking about all of my favorite things. This is the favorites book tag. It's an original by the writing Songbird. I think Reese is her name, her actual name. If that's not right, correct me please, but I think that's what I remember. So yes, this is an original tag of hers, and I love the questions because who doesn't love talking about all of their favorite things, especially when it comes to talking about your favorite books, characters, everything. I will say I always have a really hard time picking favorites because I love so many things. So I did try to get some answers written down though, so that I have an answer, even though like in my heart I'm just like, it's like breaking because I know that there's so many others that I want to mention and talk about. Does anyone else have that problem? I legit cannot hardly pick a favorite book, as you will know when we get into all of these questions. It's just so tough. How do you do it? Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started because I ramble way too much and this video is going to be so long if I don't just get started. So the first question is, what do you say is your favorite book and why? And then the second question is, what is your real favorite book, like your true actual favorite, and why? I actually really liked that these are two separate questions because when people, if I just randomly tell people that I love to read and they're like, oh really, what's your favorite book? And I'm just like, and then I say whatever is the first thing that comes to my mind, and normally it's like my most recent favorite read. So if I would go by that, it would be 1,000 Heartbeats, which I've already talked about before, and then Lady in the Lionheart. You guys have heard me talk about that as well. So like those would be my most recent reads that are my favorite. But generally when people ask me what my favorites are after they hear that I like to read, I'm also trying to think of favorite books that I think this person would like. Like if I actually know the person and know their interests. Like I have favorite books in all genres, really. So I try to mention some of them. I say some of these others that they might recognize the title of or something that they might be interested in, because like it's an honest answer because these are my favorites. I have so many favorites. I just can't pick one, you know? It's so hard. But I would say that one of those is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr? How do you say his last name? This book blew my mind. I think I cried. I can't remember. It takes a lot for a book to make me cry. I might tear up. I might feel like my soul is weeping, but I don't actually have physical tears. But this book, I loved how it was written. Like each individual chapter is so short and from a different point of view between the two characters. And yeah, I would probably say this was one of my all-time favorite reads. I'm having to read the synopsis here because I'm not remembering like certain specific details about the story. But just to give a little brief synopsis, we follow Marie. She goes blind when she's 6 and she lives with her father in Paris. And when she's 12, that's when World War II is starting, and she and her father have to flee Paris because the Nazis are coming and occupying the city. And they go to live with her great uncle. And then we also follow Werner? I feel like you say it differently because it's a German name. Anyway, we follow him as well, and he works with the radio for the German army, and there's like just the way that their two stories come together in the most unique way possible, and the way everything about it. I love it so much. I just don't know how much to say because I don't know, like, I don't want to spoil things, you know? I just found it to be a beautiful story, and I loved the characters and how like their stories intertwined and everything in the war, and all of the things. Also, I had to mention this because I found out a couple weeks ago, last week or so, that there is a mini-series coming out in November for this book. A mini-series, okay? You always want movie adaptations. Actually, I always want series because movies never quite are enough for me because there's so much that is left out. But if you get a mini-series, there's so many more details that you can put in, and the trailer just looks incredible. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm gonna definitely have to reread this fall sometime, October maybe, before the miniseries is released because I'm just so excited. And I just had to mention that one. But honorable mentions as well that I say are my favorites would be The Scarlet Pimpernel. I cannot pronounce the author's last name, but it is set during the French Revolution, and so obviously the aristocracy is getting their heads chopped off by the revolting people, and there is this man or woman, you don't really know until the end of the book who it is, but he is known as the Scarlet Pimpernel, and he rescues these people and takes them over the English Channel over to England to safety so that they are not also killed. And he always leaves a note with a little flower, a Scarlet Pimpernel, on the corner, and so through the whole book you're trying to figure out who this guy is, and so it's a mystery. It's just so much fun, and I loved the characters. It's just a fantastic read. I would highly recommend it if you love mystery. It is an older book. I don't know if it's really considered a classic, but it is an older book, but it was still easy, really easy to read and follow along, and was just a delight, honestly, to read. And others, you know, obviously Little Women, Anne of Green Gables. Those are like some of the few that I would mention. Like, I haven't even gotten into all of my nonfiction favorite books, so you know what, it's so hard. It's so hard to narrow these things down. But, so then, number 2, what is your actual favorite book? I don't know that I can actually say. Oh, what is my favorite book? You know, The Story People by Heather Kaufman. I've reread it several times and it's still always just as good every time I read it. I love the characters so much. It's the sweetest romance, and it's set in a bookstore, and obviously The Story People, there's like the side story happening as well, and just all around the characters, the small town characters and the older ladies who love to play matchmaker in here, it's so fun. It's so fun. I would say this one is really, really high on the list of my actual favorite books. And then also probably book number 2 in the Mark of the Lion series, Echo in Darkness. Obviously because this is like the culmination of Marcus and Hadassah's story. Like, I love the entire series so much. We're gonna go with those, even though there's so many others. Just gonna leave it at that. Oh, it's so hard. Question number 3 is, what is your favorite series and why? So, of course, Mark of the Lion series. Hands down. Probably favorite all-time series ever. I love it so much. The setting, the early church in Rome, everything. I love it so much. I think I've said this before, but when I first picked up this series, I read all 3 books in 3 days. And these are not small books. But no. Those would definitely have to be one of my top favorite series. Another one also is the House of Winslow series, which I have that one, the first one here with me. The House of Winslow series by Gilbert Morris. And we basically just follow the...
I said basically so much, I need to stop.
First one starts out in 1620 with the Mayflower and the Pilgrims coming over to America, and Gilbert Winslow I love that he named this character after himself. Gilbert Morris named the character Gilbert Winslow. But yes, we follow him. He's on the Mayflower coming over to America, and going on the Mayflower mostly to investigate the separatists, what the Pilgrims were called, just to like figure out what this group was really all about. So there is a romance in here, and he and his wife, or he and the girl, end up getting married. Her name is Humility, and they end up getting married. And so every book in the 40 books that are in this series is about the family, and it goes down through generations, and it goes all throughout American history, which I absolutely love so much, because I think the next 2 books are about his sons, and then the next books are about their sons. So like I said, it follows the generation of the House of Winslow series through every major event and time period in American history, and it's just so fascinating, and so moving on to question number 4, it is, who is your favorite author? And again, how do you pick? Because there are so many different genres that would be my favorite. But Gilbert Morris has stood the test of time for me, because every single book that I pick up of his, I love. I don't think there has been a single one that I'm just like, I don't like this one. I'm pretty sure every book I've read by his is either a 4 or a 5-star read. That's how much I love his books. He writes history so well, and he just brings it alive. I love history so much. It was my favorite subject in school, and his books just bring it to life on so many levels. And like, you're meeting all of these famous, well-known people of history in these books, and it's just so fascinating. Like I said, he has so many books out there. Like, I think I said there are 40 some books in the House of Winslow series, but he has so many other series. He's written so many books, and I love the way he writes his characters. For a male author to be able to write romance and female characters so well, I'm just impressed. I think he does an excellent job with both of that. His books are clean. I don't know. I love Gilbert Morris so much. And yeah, if you haven't tried him yet and you love historical fiction, it is a little heavier on the historical side of things and not as much romance, but like almost every book has a romance in it. But if you love historical fiction and you haven't picked up Gilbert Morris yet, I really think you should, because I highly recommend. He's probably my favorite Christian historical fiction writer. So, but honorable mentions, Ella Montgomery. She is also another author. Like, I've just, in more recent years, started reading her books. I've always known the story of Anne of Green Gables. I hadn't started reading any of the books until a couple years ago. But I've now read 6 of the 8 Anne of Green Gables books. I've read The Blue Castle, The Story Girl, and also just recently this month, Kilmeny of the Orchard. And I love every single one of her books as well. The way she writes characters. Love them so much. You just can't help but fall in love with Ella Montgomery's characters. She's the best. So yeah, there we go. Those are the 2 mentions, you know. We're gonna leave it at that. We could talk about everything for hours here, people. Alright, okay, so then question number 5 is, what is your favorite genre and why? And I would have to say, overall, the books that I'm just naturally drawn to would be historical fiction and, like, romance. Like, historical fiction doesn't have to have romance in it for me to love it, because I love history, and so historical fiction is just a good time for me, usually, all around. I love it. If there is romance in it, it's just like the little cherry on top. I hate cherries. I don't like to say that. It just makes the story even better if there's a little bit of romance in it, of course. So yes, I would have to say historical fiction would be my favorite genre. Oh goodness. Question number 6 is, who is your favorite character and why? I would probably have to go with Anne of Green Gables. I love her so much. And also Jo March from Little Women, because I relate with Jo on so many levels. I don't think I've really ever met any character that I've just connected with so much on so many levels. Yeah, we're just gonna leave it at that. We have to stop. I could talk forever about different characters. No, I have to mention another one. Matthew Cuthbert in the Anne of Green Gables series is also probably one of my all-time favorite characters. I just love him so much. He's just the sweetest old man, and I wish he would be a real person that I would know, that I would have in my life. I just love Matthew Cuthbert, and that's that. He's the sweetest old man. And of course Gilbert too. Okay, we have to stop. I could talk about so many characters. Okay, moving on. Question number 7 is favorite book to movie adaptation, and do I have a few to talk about? Yes, of course. One of the first ones that came to mind when I saw this question, or when I was going over the questions today, is probably The Inheritance, which is based on the novel The Inheritance by Louisa May Alcott. I did watch the movie first because I didn't realize that it was actually a book until the end of the movie when it says based on a novel, and I was like, are you kidding me? There's a book? I should have read it first. And I really wish I would have read the book first, because when I did finally get to the book, I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. But that was also before I really got into classics, and so this would have been one of the first older classic books that I would have read, and so it was just a little harder for me to get into. But overall, I love The Inheritance story and the movie. If you haven't read The Inheritance, or you haven't seen the movie, not sure what the story is about, it is the novel that Jo March from Little Women would have released. Like, it was her first published book that she released. If you love Little Women and you haven't read The Inheritance yet, you definitely need to pick it up. We follow Edith, who was an Italian orphan, and she was adopted by the Hamiltons, and she is basically just like a companion to their daughter Amy. I'm just reading the synopsis here and realizing that the movie is actually pretty different in some aspects of the story. But either way, I love the movie and I love the book itself. I do want to read it again though, because it has been a while and I just need like a refresher on this. But I'm gonna read this little part here of the synopsis. Set in an English country manor, the story follows the turbulent fortunes of Edith Adelon, an impoverished Italian orphan whose loyalty and beauty win her the patronage of wealthy friends until a jealous rival contrives to rob her of her position. In the locket around her neck, she carries a deep secret about her natural birthright. But an even greater truth lies hidden in Edith's heart, her deep reverence for the kind and noble Lord Percy, the only friend who can save her from the deceitful, envious machinations of Lady Ida. Okay, so it is actually a lot different, because I think the movie is set in America. And Percy is not, James Percy is not necessarily a lord in the movie. Interesting. Like, I feel like it follows the same plot line, but there's just certain details that they changed a little bit in here, I think. You know what? I'm not even sure exactly. Again, it's been a while since I read this book, so maybe it is more like than I'm thinking right now, because this little synopsis just sounds a little bit different than the movie. Either way, love this movie. If you haven't watched it, you should check it out. And then other honorable mentions are North and South, BBC's North and South. The ending scene though, okay? If you know, you know. So good. And then this is my favorite Anne of Green Gables adaptation, and there is no other. I actually hate's a strong word, I despise, strongly dislike any of the other Anne adaptations. They just do not do the book justice. do not do the characters justice whatsoever, but this one does. I love this particular movie adaptation for Anne of Green Gables. Whew, there's so many. And then also, I don't actually own the DVD, but my other favorite movie adaptation is Belle, the true story of Dido Belle. So yeah, this is a true story, but the movie, fantastic. Love it so much. Dido is her father was a captain in the British Navy, and her mom was, I don't think she was a slave, but she is from Africa. They were never married, but when her mom dies, her dad, the captain, comes and takes her to his family, who are actually very wealthy and in the high society of the time, and they take her in as their daughter. And so like it's that tension of the times of like she technically should hold like a high place in society because of who her father was, but because she is of mixed race, she still is considered lower society, if that makes sense. But this is a true story, and I absolutely loved it. The movie, I would say I love a little more than the book, just because of the way the book is written. But I love the story. It's great, and I love the movie. Highly recommend that one as well. Question number 8 is, what is your favorite quote? And I honestly don't have an answer for this because I don't know. Quotes don't really stick with me for some reason. Like when I'm reading a book and there's a line or something that I just absolutely love, I will highlight it or tab it depending on the book. But it's not something that I just memorize and can just like, you know, if someone would say, what's your favorite quote from a book? I don't really have an answer because I know that there are so many lines and quotes from a book that I love when I'm actually reading the book, but I couldn't just tell you what those are because, yeah, like I said, they don't really stick with me until I read the book and I'm like, ah, yes, I love that quote, if that makes sense. So no answer for that one. And then question number 9 is, what is your favorite book cover? I also really struggled with this one because I don't really pick books out based on their covers, really. Like, if it's a nice cover, it helps, for sure. But I can read a book if it's good, even if the cover itself is not very nice. And, like, I know that's not really what the question is about, but I was going through all of my shelves and trying to find a cover that I just love. I didn't really come up with one except Pax, because how adorable. It's a fox. Love foxes. I just think it's the cutest thing. Absolute cutest thing. And also, like, this particular edition of Anne of the Island. It's so pretty. This entire set, this particular edition of Anne of Green Gables, all of the covers are just absolutely beautiful and I love them. Love them a whole lot. But yes, those would be a few of my favorite book covers that I own. Okay, question number 10 is, what is your favorite book trope? So, I love marriage of convenience, but also like more of a subcategory, like a somewhat similar category is like those marriages, I guess in the South we would have called them shotgun weddings, where like something happens. A lot of times it's an innocent thing that someone completely took out of proportion, and the people are forced to get married. And they just have to. And then they eventually fall in love because of forced proximity, and obviously they're living together, all of these things. I love those stories if they're done well, because I know like in the real world, if that would be the actual case, a lot of those marriages could end in disaster, and because especially if you don't know the people and they are just terrible people, it could just be bad all around. But in books, if it's done well, I absolutely love, love, love those stories. Some recent reads that I read would have been Laurel's Dream by Pepper Basham. Wow. And another one is Lori Wick's The Rescue. It's book number 2 in the English Garden series. I love Lori Wick's books. I will always be a fan of her books. I know they're a little dated, but you know, I love them. They're always sweet. Such sweet stories and romances, and they're clean, and she always, always has the gospel somehow intertwined into her stories, and I love it so much. They're just great. So yeah, this is one of those that something happens and her dad forces her to get married to the guy. So it's so much fun. I love it. So those are a few options. You know, like more popular tropes. I just simply love just the general historical romances where there's not even really a particular trope happening. It's just one of those things that they just meet and like they run into each other and they just start getting to know each other. If it's done well, like this whole story, I guess that would maybe kind of be considered friends to lovers because they become friends and then they start to be interested in each other and develop a romance, I guess. So I guess, yeah, friends to lovers would be another one that I just love. You know, just the simple, basic, more real to life romances. But yes, then question number 11 is, who is your favorite book couple? Marcus and Hadassah from the Mark of the Lion series. Hello. Let me get Hadassah's book up here too. Marcus and Hadassah. What more can I say? I love them so much. Fire. And then Annika or Anika, I'm not sure how you actually say her name, and Lennox from 1,000 Heartbeats. Love them too. Anne and Gilbert. Duh. Oh goodness, again, there's so many I could pick. There's so many. Ben and Rosemary from the Story People. There's so many couples. So many couples. Charlie and Ella from The Lady and the Lionheart. Wow, yes. And the last question is just to tag someone. I'm not really sure who all has done it yet. She released this about 3 weeks ago. I'll also put her video down below. And I think I've seen a few people do it, but I'm not really sure. I have some catching up to do for some videos, so I'm not really sure who all did it. But I know Erica hasn't done it yet, so I'm going to tag her at least. I'd love to see everyone's video about this because I want to hear your answers. So if you've done it, let me know in the comments and I'll go try to watch it as well. But anyway, thank you, Reese, for putting this together. It was a lot of fun, even though it was hard to answer some of these questions and to actually pick favorites. But anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.